from the north and then crossing the Mediterranean with power lines. We don't have that proximity to those kinds of markets in Kenya, so we're going to have to use the energy ourselves, which is great because it means activity, employment, and so on. And as Royla is saying, we have all the sun, it's scorching our heads. We don't use the solar energy. This is a problem that must be fixed. So we actually have very, very good investment climate for solar energy in Kenya. And people like to criticize government in Kenya as well as everywhere else, but lo and behold, there's no duty or VAT for importing solar products into Kenya. It's been like that for a couple of years. About a month ago, there was a new law that passed that every house that's using electricity to heat water is going to have to put solar water heaters on the roof. It's the law, and you have 5 years to comply. There's what's called a feed-in tariff, which means you're giving a higher price to renewable energy which is being generated. So wind gets about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Solar gets 20 cents per kilowatt hour. And Kenya was the second country in Africa, after South Africa, to implement such a scheme when it came out in January. So I want to show some more examples of different products which are made from this plastic philosophy. We show the Kyoto box. As I said, the carbon generated by the use of this is enough to pay for the unit. It's quite interesting. And a box like this can save about 3/4 of a ton of CO2 per year. The carbon emissions in making the box is 11 kilos. So if you use this thing for 5 years, you're talking about a huge, huge, huge positive balance on the carbon side. With the flashlight I showed you already, we have 2 different sizes. Very simple way for people to get involved, get rid of the kerosene. We have a campaign in one of the slums with a kickboxing club where they're saying, kick out kerosene. So we're doing this really on the ground. And of course, the Maasais, they love our stuff. It's become sort of like the part of you have the rungu, you have the knife, the mobile. Modern Maasais, proper. Green warriors, they call themselves now. So the Kyoto box, we love it, and it's been in the media a lot, and it's been talked about. But I actually like the Kyoto bag even better than the Kyoto box because it's so simple and so it's a flat little bag that you can fill with 10 liters of water. You carry from the river. Even as you're walking, the water is being cleaned. 2 different ways. First of all, because the sun goes through the transparent side of the bag, and uses ultraviolet light to kill some of the bacteria. And it also raises the temperature with the black behind, so that when you reach the pasteurization temperature, which is 65 degrees, you don't have to boil your water, which even if you ask Red Cross, they'll tell you to boil the water. Interesting, since Louis Pasteur, back in 1860s, established the fact that these bacteria die at 55 degrees. So let's implement some of the 150-year-old science. The problem is, mamas don't know when the water is pasteurized. They know when it's boiling. You can see that. So what we did is the shower cap, or this cap they put on the bag, which allows you to either pour or shower or close the cap, it changes color when it reaches the right temperature. So that way you can save 40% of the energy, the time, and the money to clean water. So it's a multi-purpose kind of product. You hang it upside down, you can shower, get a 10-minute nice shower from it. So the turbo, when it's raining or when it's dark, what do? Well, we have designed a stove that actually runs on organic, or let's say waste from farms. So corn cobs and coconut husks are just being thrown today because nobody knows what to do with them. So we say use those instead of cutting down the trees. So together, this is what we call the Kyoto family package. And the carbon is down there. It's about 39 euros. That's about the same the price of the product, of the whole thing. So this is something that we can, just for the cost of distribution, pretty much distributed to people all across Kenya and other countries. So this will lead any family, whether you're a refugee or you're a villager, you're a slum dweller, you can actually become carbon neutral. Not that you had big carbon emissions from before, because an African has about 3% of the carbon emissions of an American. But let's go carbon neutral first, and then show the rest of the world how this is done. So Kenyans are extremely frugal when it comes to energy. They use almost nothing. This is a product we made from aluminum, which we can give a 100-year warranty because it never rusts. You sit on your roof, it just makes hot water. It's a good timing to bring the product now that the law came in. So by law, you have to buy my product, which is great. Those are products that are available. Now there's more products coming. So we're developing a whole bunch of different ones. We have this one I spent about 5 years developing. This is a plastic solar concentrator. It has mirrors that focuses the sun. And it can take about 1.5 square meter of sun and reduce it into about 5 square centimeters of receiver area. So you can use some really high efficiency solar cells. It tracks the sun during the day. It can be installed, half an hour training, you can install it. It's toolless assembly. The only thing you need is a coin to tighten the screws at the end. So compared with other systems like this, we need cranes, bulldozers, and so on. This is a much, much simpler approach. You can start with one, or you can go to a whole field. And right now we're planning the first installation we're doing will be in Naivasha, right on the power grid, which goes to Uganda, just underneath it. So if you compare it with the wind project in Turkana, we have to have 400 kilometers of grid connect to be built. We just hook up the wire. We also produce electricity and heat at the same time with this system. The heat is being used to open a big drying factory so the farmers in Naivasha can have the product produced dried with the excess heat. We use a gasifier to run the generator so that you can also generate power when it's cloudy again or at night. And this can be made locally. It's an open source design. We have a system called Cocoon, which is an algae photobioreactor, which means that you can grow nutrients. All the vitamins and minerals you need can be had from the algae, omega-3s, antioxidants, some really sophisticated medical things, totally organically grown inside these plastic sheets. This is a South African design, which I completely love. You've probably seen this before, but instead of carrying 10 or 20 liters of water, you roll 90. So this is the reinvention of the wheel. However, it cannot be imported from South Africa because it's full of air, so it's really expensive to bring, so we have to start manufacturing here in Kenya. And that's what we're preparing to do now. You can also take seeds, fertilizer, different things. We also designed a low-cost pump that can go really deep, and you can use to lift the water either manually or using, for instance, the butterfly concentrator to run a small electric engine that can do farm irrigation. So we think food drying and irrigation are probably the two biggest things that needs to be done on the tool side for farmers. We also have some other new lamp designs, organic-looking things that we're bringing in. This is designed also in Norway. It's a funny thing on these Norwegians like the sun. Now, if you look at the humanitarian benefits, you'll see all of the MDG goals. You'll find that each of these products we do, you can show what it does. For instance, universal primary education. Well, if you don't have light at night, you won't be able to do homework. So everything kicks in terms of improved maternal health. Well, you need clean water. So we're setting up this thing called Kyoto Club, which is a micro-franchise network where the women in the villages become resellers, and they make a little money selling these devices. They meet together every Friday, and they talk about what to do with energy and water and so on. We signed an agreement with the Nairobi University to do Kyoto Institute for Renewable Energy. It's a 2-year study. And we're building these plastic buildings and setting up. We have a blimp flying over the Mara taking photos from above to be able to document all the biomass. It's a whole separate story. But we do this, from Kenya, and we spread it to the world. So this is an example where we take Kenya solutions and solve global needs. So we're reselling these products in more than 30 countries. We also developed a mobile tool to be able to, so that households can document the carbon, as I mentioned already. We're also doing a carbon aid project. We're saying there's no need to give aid. You can just buy carbon credits. That's a whole new approach because it gives a lot of the receivers. They're the ones who use this equipment, and then they earn the carbon credits. So we're right now doing a project in Pakistan. Obviously, 20 million people without clean drinking water is a huge problem, and nobody has seen the scale which is required to solve this. We need some simple solution. At the end, I just want to say nothing is new under the sun, which is a quote from the Bible. Now, Augustin Mouchot, he made this solar printing press back in France in 1888. So it kind of embarrasses us all, doesn't it? Thank you for your time.